Republican commentator Tomi Lahren called out conservatives this week for their opposition to the Supreme Court's ruling on Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Was she right? The post-George Floyd racial hysteria is now focusing on foods, and a college football coach bows down to the racial thought police. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, welcome to the show. Happy Friday. I hope you had a great week. If you're new, thanks so much for joining us. We got a big show today. We're going to start with Tomi Lahren. This is the Fox News commentator, Republican activist, social media influencer. She called out conservatives this week for their opposition to the Supreme Court's ruling on Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Basically what happened is the liberal justices, joined by John Roberts and Neil Gorsuch, said that employers cannot fire employees for sexual orientation or gender identity. She said this was great. She praised the ruling. You can be conservative and still support gay rights, she said. Well, she's missing the point in a big way, and she's missing or ignoring a key conservative principle. Here's some background. The Supreme Court delivered a resounding victory to the nation's LGBTQ community on Monday, with Justice Neil Gorsuch declaring that it is clear that gay and transgender employees are protected by federal anti-discrimination laws. An employer who fires an individual for being homosexual or transgender fires that person for traits or actions it would not have questioned in members of a different sex. Sex plays a necessary and undistinguishable role in the decision, exactly what Title VII forbids, he stated. All right, folks, this makes no sense. Basically, what Gorsuch is saying is sex means something different than sex or gender, as it is written in the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This act pointed out and protected 5 different groups: race, color, religion, national origin, and sex, meaning man and woman, meaning you couldn't fire someone just for being a woman if you wanted a man. Those were protected. Later on, through different acts, they added age, they added disability. So through the legislative process, they added other protected classes. So we know from common sense that what sex means there, man and woman. We also know that it does not mean gender identity and sexual orientation, because Congress, the legislators, have tried to add that in. They have been trying to add that in, and there's no reason to add it if it already means it. And Justice Samuel Alito, in his dissent, clearly pointed that out, and here's his words. There is only one word for what the court has done today: legislation. The document that the court releases is in the form of a judicial opinion interpreting a statute, but that is deceptive. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination on any of 5 specified grounds: race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. Neither sexual orientation nor gender identity appears on that list. For the last 45 years, bills have been introduced in Congress to add sexual orientation to the list, and in recent years, bills have included gender identity as well. But to date, none has passed both houses. Last year, the House of Representatives passed a bill that would amend Title VII by defining sex discrimination to include both sexual orientation and gender identity, but the bill has stalled in the Senate. An alternative bill would add similar prohibitions but contains provisions to protect religious liberty. That bill remains before a House subcommittee. So as you can see, what Justice Alito pointed out is that they have tried to add these things, sexual orientation, gender identity, because we all know that sex in this case means man and woman, means the specific gender. That is why they're trying to change it. And what happened with this ruling is judicial activism at its worst. They made a new piece of legislation. So that leads us to Tomi Lahren and her rant against conservatives. And here's how she starts.
I agree with Justice Gorsuch and the other 5 justices. Gay and transgender employees should be protected from workplace discrimination, and I truly don't understand why anyone, conservative, liberal, or otherwise, would argue any differently.
So first of all, Lauren's not even addressing the point here. And it is actually a kind of a classic lefty move to bring the people to it. It's like, look at these people. How can you not support them? They should be protected. It's the right thing to protect them. That's not the point at all. This is about judicial activism she doesn't even talk about that. Then she gets even more personal. She brings up the 3 examples that the Supreme Court considered, that they were talked about in this ruling, describes them and says this.
Why the hell should they be fired for that? And does believing they shouldn't be fired for that make me or Justice Gorsuch any less conservative? Hell to the no!
Hell to the no? What makes her less conservative is supporting judicial activism. And here's more.
Newsflash, you can be Christian, conservative, and a proud Trump supporter and believe people should not be fired for who they love or the lifestyle they lead outside of the workplace.
So again, she's not addressing the issue at all. What she's addressing is that how she supports gay rights and transgender rights. But she's not addressing what these liberals, joined by Gorsuch and Roberts, did in this ruling, which again was judicial activism. And here's more.
Because here I am, a Christian, conservative, proud Trump supporter, and I 100% stand behind conservative justices Gorsuch and Roberts on this decision. And guess what else? Attempting to take away someone's conservative card for being pro-choice or pro-same-sex marriage or pro-protecting good and decent people from true discrimination in the workplace is why so many young people don't feel the conservative movement is their movement.
All right, first of all, this idea that you have to be pro-choice or pro-gay rights to attract young people is flat out wrong. There are plenty of young activists in the pro-life movement, plenty of them that go to DC and march for the March for Life. Plenty out there. You don't need to change your message just to attract young people. Young people have been indoctrinated into the left. That's why they turn away from conservatives, not because of the message, because they've been indoctrinated through elementary and grade school and college. We need to get our message out just as well as the left does. And this, again, this whole idea that I support this ruling because I support gay rights. What about the conservative principle of judicial activism? If you support that as a conservative, sometimes you'll be on the losing end. You can't change that philosophy simply because you like the court outcome. Should not have blasted conservatives in this case. They are standing up, opposing judicial activism, which is a core conservative principle. So next time, pick a different argument. Folks, let me know what you think in the comments. Am I right? Is she right? Let me know, because in this case, for me, the conservative credentials that she seems not to care about, but sure does voice in her video, she loses it by supporting judicial activism. So next, I want to talk about what the left is doing. It's going crazy. But first, if you love the show, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 100,000 subscribers by Election Day. 100K by Election Day, and we can do it with your help. All right, next I want to talk about this left-wing hysteria. Post-George Floyd riots, everyone's freaking out. Black Lives Matter is ruling the day. They are pushing corporations. They are pushing legislators. They are pushing the media. They're steamrolling everybody. You know what's next? Foods. So be prepared to say goodbye to Aunt Jemima syrup. Here is a report from CNN. Quaker Oats is retiring the more than 130-year-old Aunt Jemima brand and logo, acknowledging its origins are based on a racial stereotype. As we work to make progress toward racial equality through several different initiatives, we must also take a hard look at our portfolio of brands and ensure they reflect our values and meet our consumers' expectations, the Pepsi-owned company said in a statement provided to CNN Business. So even though the brand Pepsi has admitted that their brand, this Aunt Jemima, represents warmth and nourishment and trust, they're going to change it anyway to show their wokeness. They are getting rid of it, and that's not the only one. Uncle Ben's rice, say goodbye to that. That's going. Here is a statement from Mars Company regarding Uncle Ben's. As a global brand, we know we have a responsibility to take a stand in helping put an end to racial bias and injustices. As we listen to the voices of consumers, especially in the Black community, and to the voices of our associates worldwide, we recognize that now is the right time to evolve the Uncle Ben's brand, including its visual brand identity, which we will do. We don't know yet what the exact changes or timing will be, but we are evaluating all possibilities. Racism has no place in society. We stand in solidarity with the Black community, our associates and our partners in the fight for social justice. We know to make the systemic change needed, it's going to take a collective effort from all of us, individuals, communities, and organizations of all sizes around the world. Wow. They hit every talking point there, systemic racism and everything. And here's the thing, the Uncle Ben's brand has no basis in racism at all. Back in the 1940s, the owners of this company got together. There was a famous Texas farmer. He was known for his super high quality rice. He went by Uncle Ben. That's who it's named after. Then there was a maitre d' in a Chicago restaurant who was hired, agreed to pose for the branding. That's the picture. No basis in racism at all. But it is continuing, folks. It is spreading. B&G Foods is ordering an immediate review of cream of wheat. They're ordering a review of it because they don't like they're concerned over the chef image. Well, take a look at this. This is Chef Boyardee. So what kind of message are you saying? You can have an Italian chef, but you can't have a black chef? And also, these professions that are on these things, these are maids or housekeepers or chefs. Are we saying that those aren't honorable professions? Or are we saying that you can't be in those professions and be black on the label? What are they actually saying in this message? It makes no sense at all. So next, I want to talk to you about, again, it's crazy times, folks, and it gets even crazier. We're going to talk about college football. We're going to talk about Oklahoma State and their coach, Mike Gundy. Remember this guy? This was the guy back in 2007 that stood up for his players. Don't go after the players. Go after me because I'm 40. I'm a man.
And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me.
So that was 2007. And isn't it interesting that he asked, where are we as a society? So in 2007, he might have been a man, but now he's moved to being a Muppet. Because this case that happened is so outrageous. And yet, because of the pressure, he issued an apology. And we're going to get to it step by step. So first of all, he went fishing. He went fishing with some folks. Had a good time. The fishing guide posted this tweet. Afternoon was a success. So then Kyle Boone, who is a reporter for CBS News, he saw that tweet. He decides for some reason to retweet it as if there's a big major offense going on. So he retweets it and he puts this in there. Mike Gundy went fishing on Lake Texoma donning an OAN shirt. That's right. This guy thought it was newsworthy to point out what shirt Mike Gundy, the coach, was wearing. It's an OAN shirt, One America News, an accredited news source. He's wearing that shirt. This guy points it out. You know what he's trying to do here. There's no reason to point out what shirt the guy is wearing. So then, a football player on the team, Chuba Hubbard, he sees the Boone tweet, and he tweets this. I will not stand for this. This is completely insensitive to everything going on in society, and it's unacceptable. I will not be doing anything with Oklahoma State until things change. All right, are you kidding me? First of all, we have this too much where the kids are calling the shots for administrators and coaches. Dude, play football. That's why you're there, probably on a scholarship. Be thankful for that. Second, again, this guy is wearing a news shirt, OAN, an accredited news source. Would it have been okay if it was CNN? If it was MSNBC? But because it's OAN, what about Fox News? What would they have done then? But because he had that shirt on and this football player causes a stink, everyone freaks out. ESPN freaks out. They had a commentator on saying that Mike Gundy should be fired for wearing that t-shirt. Mike Gundy goes and apologizes. And again, the left's uproar is absolutely outrageous. Here is Max Kellerman, a commentator on ESPN, and they're all left-wing now. You can't be conservative and cover sports anymore, at least not on ESPN. Here's what Max Kellerman says.
Mike Gundy supported a propaganda network that usually works at cross purposes with the greater good of the United States of America.
Are you kidding me? OAN works against the greater good of America? According to whom? According to Max Kellerman? Then he goes on, calls OAN a propaganda network because it goes against Black Lives Matter. It questions their legitimacy. I do that all the time, folks. We went through the stats. We know about Michael Brown and Ferguson. We know what started Black Lives Matter, how it was a case that was not a case. It was all based on a lie. And this is how it started. Yet he says that OAN is a propaganda network, and then he adds this.
The fact that he's forced to say it in this case is also good because it indicates that this kind of behavior is not tolerated, that there will be social sanctions against it, and that we are making progress in this kind of aspect of the culture wars in a way that all reasonable people can agree.
Wow, this type of behavior won't be tolerated? Who are these people? Again, this guy wore a t-shirt, One America News. Give me a break. It's absolutely insane. And on top of that, as you've seen from this show, everything I've talked about could fall into our segment of Relaxed Brain, but there's even more. There's more things there that cause us to ask, do you have a relaxed brain?
I got what you call, a relaxed brain.
All right, folks, we're going to start with the mayor of Duluth, Minnesota, Emily Larson, because she wants to change the city law to remove chief from job titles because it's offensive to Native Americans. And here's the report. Under the new measure, which the city council will take up Monday, Duluth's chief administrative officer would be called city administrator, and chief financial officer would be called finance director, the Star Tribune reported. Duluth Mayor Emily Larson called on city council members to vote on approval so that we have more inclusive leadership and less language that is rooted in hurt and offensive and intentional marginalization. Alicia Kozlowski, Duluth's communication relations officer, wonder if that's chief communications relations officer, told the Star Tribune that chief is used as a racial epithet and it turns into a microaggression. She said the city is trying to be proactive about the change before residents ask. This is just insane, folks. Chief is now offensive. It's going. Foods are going. Chief is going. Guess what else is going? At the University of Florida, they're getting rid of their gator bait cheer that the band leads. They're getting rid of gator bait, even though they admit that it's not offensive. They admit it's not based in racism. They're getting rid of it because if you do a Google search, some pictures might pop up with a gator eating a black person. If you do that same Google search, you find gators attacking a host of people. You look in the pictures, and here's an older one. This is one of Peyton Manning. Then you go down, and I found this one. It's gator bait gear. You've got this dog with a cone, and it's about gator bait. And then, of course, you have this one. I'll put this one up on the screen. Half animal, all woman. Whoa. We can keep that one up there for a while. This is what you get in this collection. But because some of the people happen to be black, they're getting rid of it, admitting it has no basis in racism, the gator bait chant or cheer, but we're going to get rid of it anyway. This is this country we live in, folks, and it's gotten absolutely crazy. If you have more examples, leave them in the comments. I want to hear. It's Friday. It's Relaxed Brain. Let me know what you see out there. All right, folks, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, and when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified, and we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a 13-minute news hour. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching, and before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified, and here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.